Hey everyone, this is Mia with Project Nerd. I am sitting here with Michael Charron, who is the writer, producer, and director of the short film You're the Puppet. We are doing this interview for the Colorado Festival Productions. Hello, Michael.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty great.
Good.
So I got a chance to watch your short film, The Puppet.
Okay.
It was absolutely delightful.
Oh, thank you.
And completely unexpected, and I really, really like that.
Yeah.
When it comes to, so the film is about Laramie and Leonard.
Yes.
And well, even though I watch it now, I can't remember who's who. So help me out here. Who is who?
Laramie is the human. Leonard is the puppet.
Okay, see, I'm just going to keep making notes here.
It's fine.
And Leonard is the puppet. Perfect.
Yes.
And they are a comedy duo. Everyone seems to like them, but Laramie is trying to go out on his own, and Leonard's like, nah, dude, it's about me.
Right.
Perfect. What was your most favorite first? How did this idea come up? Let's start with that.
So the idea actually came from the film I made before this was called Random Knowledge. It's a pub trivia movie. And this guy, Chadwick Smith, who I ended up casting in one of the roles. And when I met him, we just sat with a beer and talked about puppets for 45 minutes. Like he is a puppeteer. He makes puppets. He's in a puppet emo band called Fragile Rock. They did an NPR Tiny Desk concert. It's amazing. They're so good. And so we just sat there and talked about Muppets, and just like I grew up loving the Muppets, I still do, and like we talked about that. And so the whole time I'm making Random Knowledge, I'm in the back of my head going like, what can I do with puppets? Because like I have this resource now. And so I work a lot with stand-up comedians. I filmed the last Random Knowledge also in the same comedy club, and so like I knew I could work in that world. And it was like I came with this idea of these two like collaborators and like fighting over who is in charge. And Chadwick Smith, who is the puppeteer who performs the puppet. I should have turned my phone sound off.
It's okay. Is that from Mario?
It is Mario, yes.
Yeah.
He actually made that puppet from scratch. Like my director of photography and I like sketched up like what we want him to look like. And Chad went to Joann's Fabrics and sent us pictures of different fabrics, like which color do you want the skin to be? And like he brought that over, and I have him. He's actually right here, and it's like my favorite thing I own. Like being someone who grew up on puppets, to have my own puppet from my own movie is the coolest thing.
That's amazing. People wish they could go home with such important pieces like that from their homes. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Actually, during the film, while I was watching it, there were 2 points that caught me off guard in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was when Leonard went into his room, and as he's closing the door, there's a poster so the poster has a puppet with a person on his hand. So how did that come about?
That was actually, so Chad, who the guy who made the puppet, he is does a lot of like improv comedy at the Fallout Theater here in Austin. And that was a show he had done years before at the Fallout Theater. And they had that poster already made. And we were like trying to find what we could put on the wall. And he's like, I got the perfect poster, and brought that in. And it's just such a good idea to like reverse it, since that's kind of what the movie is doing, you know?
Yes, I thought it was a perfect like way of foreshadowing in a sense. I was just like, especially after it finished, I was like, I see you guys. And then the second one was when Leonard's watching the TV, and the show he's watching is a puppet show.
Yes.
Was that something that was pre-recorded, or did you guys do that for the film? Like
we went. So Chad has a bunch of puppets, and we took 2 of his puppets and made them look like kung fu guys. I went to the dollar store and bought some cheap nunchucks, and we kind of like taped it to the puppet's hand and like twirled it around until it looked like he was actually swinging them, and it was a lot of fun. That was one of the funnest things we shot, was just going to the park and like making these puppets look like they're about to fight. That
is incredible. I was watching, I was like, they did not. They really did. I was, you're expecting regular TV, and that's
right.
That was pure fun. I absolutely enjoyed it. So aside from Leonard, do you own any other puppets? Or since meeting Chadwick, have you started to collect your own or get any more from him?
I haven't yet, but I mean, I've got ideas. I'm working, down the line to do more puppet related stuff and bring Chad in for that.
That is even better. Since you love Muppets, do you have, let's say, a top 3 favorite Muppets?
So I always say it. My wife says that Kermit is boring, and we always fight over this because I love Kermit because I feel like Kermit, being a guy who directs and produces productions, and you've got all these varieties of. I know exactly what he deals with when he's doing that stage, and he gets real frustrated because this guy's over here doing this, and I've got to wrangle him in, and this actress went outside to play her guitar in the middle of a scene, and we're like, no, you need to come back in, and just all of that. I identify with that, but my 2 other favorites would definitely be Fozzie, because I just love I love how earnest he is in what he does, even though he's so bad at it and he doesn't care, and he fails and he fails and he just loves it. And that also speaks to me, is that sometimes you just keep doing what you love no matter what, right?
Absolutely.
And then Gonzo, who I love, I identify with the weirdo who is also this sad sack, right? And I make a lot of movies that are funny and silly, but end with kind of a downer ending, in some ways, depending on your perspective.
Yes.
And so like having that sad sack weirdness together actually really works for me.
When you're working on film sets or on scripts or just the ideas going in your brain, do you have a particular genre you like to stay within, or are you excited to branch out to as many as you possibly can?
I mean, it tends to stick to comedy. That's what I write. And I write everything from, but I like to take a genre and like turn it on its head. So like the trivia movie was, I wanted to make, I play a lot of pub trivia with my friends. I always wanted to make a movie, and like to make it interesting, we like meshed it up with sports. So like we used all these like dynamic camera movements and like all these sports things to make it seem, because 6 people sitting around a table is boring, right? And so like trying to find that and trying to find these ways to work things around. I have a screenplay that is it's a dark comedy, but it's really not as dark as it sounds by the description. But it's a rom-com that revolves around a snuff film. And like just finding like all of these ways to like take a genre and break it, basically, is what I like to do, and make it funny.
So that I like that, like you're challenging yourself every time. I think that's spectacular. I had a question and I lost it, so I'm gonna go to the one that I actually wrote down.
All right.
You have it looks like you have a group of friends that you work with on your films. How are you guys able to come together? Who does what? How's this work?
So I mean, it's cool because like the guy who has been the director of photography for my last 2 films, I've been friends with him since the 5th grade. So we're 41 now. So like we were that's 31 years that we've been friends now. And then my audio guy, who does all of my music, all of my post audio, all of that stuff, and has worked on every film I've ever made, basically, for the last 20 years. I've known him since the 7th grade. And he and Steven, the director of photography, have known each other since kindergarten, because I moved to that town in 3rd grade. So I didn't know them then. So like they've known each other since they were like 5. And then Eric, who plays Laramie, I've known him since 99, 98 now. So it's a group of those 3 are like kind of the core that I've worked with on everything. And then there's other people who just stick around, and I like to work with the same people because we get to know each other and we work really well. I can tell Steven on a set, hey, I want this shot, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. I can go to Tim and say, okay, for random knowledge, I want Jock Jams, and he can do amazing score that's reminding of Jock Jams. Or for this movie, I just said to him, I was like, listen to the score for Psycho, not the main theme song, but like the rest of the score. And he took that and kind of worked that into this.
That's amazing. And has there been a set where you didn't know anybody that you've worked on?
No, I've never done that. No.
Good.
No, I mean, I was going to say, I've worked with, sometimes there's people that are new, and sometimes there's always at least one person I've worked with before. Like Eric, I think, has been in everything I've ever shot. So just about. So there's always been at least him there, if not someone else that we worked with before.
Perfect. This is my favorite question to ask. I have been asking it for everyone that I have interviewed so far, and it just gives me this delicious insight into different filmmakers. And it's, if you had an unlimited budget you could do whatever you wanted, what kind of film would you want to make?
I mean, it would be funny. I'm working right now. I'm 75 pages into a first draft of this superhero stoner comedy. That like it's these characters that Steven, my director of photography, and I came up with when we were in high school, and like something made me think of them a couple weeks ago, and I just immediately snapped on the story idea, and I'm just powering through this like big budget. I don't write big budget films, like I just really haven't, because like I don't have a way to make them. And it's just not. I make comedies. There's not a lot of those, right? And this idea of like these superheroes, and it's kind of taking these silly heroes who have their power. They're called people in the world call them useless because they're like they don't have as many powers. And the idea is taking on the few people who do have powers. And there's like it's a way of speaking to the world of like, yeah, you can. There's more of us than there is of the powerful, right? And that we can stand up, but also it's silly and they have ridiculous powers. There's a character called the Mighty Burrito. So like it's just like ridiculous.
That's amazing. Well, I'm excited for that. Considering all of the sets that you have worked on, 2 questions within that. What's your favorite part of filmmaking, and what's the hardest part of filmmaking? Pick whichever one you want to answer first.
A favorite part, I mean, it's fun whenever you get everything shot and you're about to go in and like look into like what you have and craft that film, because it's the old maxim that there's 3 films that are made. There's the one that's actually written, there's the one that's shot, and then there's one that's made in the edit, right? And like it's like you now have all this footage, and sometimes you're gonna have to figure out how to make it work in the edit, and sometimes you're like, oh, I could do all these different things, and like that's always really fun. I enjoy being involved in that whole process. The hardest part is just, putting together a project on no money, on low budgets, and like finding enough people, like Steven is fantastic at camera and he'll do whatever with me because we've known each other forever, but also he needs people to help him. And like, he can't do everything himself. And so it's like finding the money and the people that are willing to come out and do that is really the toughest thing.
Absolutely. I've been on a couple sets myself, and that always seems to be center of, I don't want to say frustration per se, but it's a point of contention. That's the phrase.
Everyone's overworked.
Yes. There is typically a film or a point or a memory that gets filmmakers wanting to make films. Do you have that? And if so, what was it for you?
I don't know. So I've talked about this recently with someone that, growing up in a small town in Texas, and it never occurred to me that I could make movies. Like I loved films. I loved, I was telling someone that I wrote this thing on Instagram the other day about being 10 years old and going to see Back to the Future 2 and like losing my mind over getting to see the sequel. And then at the end, seeing the trailer for the 3rd one, and it's like November, and the trailer the 3rd one doesn't come out till the next summer, and being like, I have to wait, like that kind of stuff. I have those moments, but at no point was I like, okay, I'm going to make Back to the Future 4. And it was when I was in college, and I went away to college, and I majored in computer science because, I was good at computers, and it was like, that's what you do, and I discovered, my friends and I just started renting movies, and like watching movies. We didn't have cable. We just watched everything. And it was Bottle Rocket and Clerks and Mallrats. This is 98, 99, and discovering those films and just being like, wait, you can just go make a movie. Right. And it was like, that was the moment, like learning those, I was 20, I was about to graduate college when I decided I don't want to do this computer science anymore, but I can graduate in 1 semester. So I'll finish it and just go do my own thing, and that was the moment that did it for me.
That's absolutely magical in my mind. It's a backstory that people can relate to. Just like, I'm going to finish this thing, just going to have it in my back pocket, and I'm going to do what I love to do.
Right.
I absolutely adore that. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I would like to ask, where can we find you and your film and anybody else that you want to introduce us to?
Well, you can find roguealchemypictures.com. Has everything. Rogue Alchemy Pictures on Instagram. My last 2 shorts before this one, Random Knowledge and Here Comes the Neighborhood, are both on Amazon. So you can just go on Amazon Prime and watch those. And that's pretty much it. Through those links, you can find everything.
Perfect. Well, I'll close us out.
Awesome.
Once again, this is Mia St. Clair. I am here with Michael Charron. We are, or have now, discussed his short film that was absolutely delightful, You're the Puppet, doing this for the Colorado Festival Productions. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.